Call to order the regular council meeting of Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered on Treaty 8 First Nations territory in the long-standing presence of the elders and the ancestors of Treaty 8, and that through this acknowledgement we extend recognition and respect to BC Treaty 8 First Nations and all those who call the Peace Country home. I'd like to move on to adoption of agenda. Recommendation that council adopts the agenda for the January 22nd regular council meeting. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Any discussion or changes regarding today's agenda? Councillor Wall.
I just want to note for public record that this is our first council meeting after the change from our previous schedule to our new schedule, and that the organization of this meeting may be slightly differently due to the factor that committee of the whole meetings are in place for basically the discussion. So this will be very straightforward compared to our previous meetings for those watching at home.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to adoption of the minutes. Recommendation that council adopts the December 18th regular council meeting minutes. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Any discussion regarding the minutes?
Sorry, this is for December 18th?
Yes.
I'm just curious, on page 5 here, number 8, there's flag policy, but then there's a motion for the unappropriated fund transfer policy.
That's typo, folks. Yeah, I apologize for that.
Okay.
Yeah. That should be regarding the municipal flag policy with amendments.
Okay. Any other corrections? Yes, Councillor Wall?
Would it be appropriate to table these minutes to the next council meeting for those corrections to be made?
That's up to the discretion of the public office.
I think we normally just adopt them with changes. That's absolutely a motion that we could make.
I'm not sure how this works now.
Yeah, no, it's not that different. So you would just make the motion to adopt with changes. So when I read the motion, I'll make sure it shows that. Any other corrections that anybody else has seen?
Well,
Yes, Councillor Rebel?
if I may, we've shifted to kind of the format of the minutes has evolved. Is it possible if it gets edited and comes back? Is that okay? Would it affect the timing of business, or would we be able to table it, get edited, or send it for edits and then have it return at the next available meeting? Or would that be too long of a timeline?
Well, it wouldn't be done at the February 12th meeting. It would be done at the February, whatever the last one is.
February 26th.
26th,
February
yeah.
26th,
So it would be.
There will be quite a bit of an administrative delay.
Yes, yeah, that's like.
For a minor edit.
That's like a whole month, right? And then each of these minutes, like they get
In pile.
signed and then, yes, yeah.
Therefore, what would be the motion that would replace it? It would be that council adopts the municipal flag policy with amendments to, like, essentially that recommendation as a motion, really.
Well, so that recommendation was already made. What you're doing is the only correction that needs to be done is the correction within the minutes. We don't need to actually correct the motion that was made during the meeting in December 18th. What you're doing is that you're going to make a motion that the meeting minutes get adopted with the correction of the amendment to 8.1 flag policy. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the correction would be
Just editing that motion.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so I'm gonna put the motion on the floor and then you guys can kind of hear how it sounds, okay? Mm-hmm. So all those in favor of adopting the December 18th regular council meeting minutes with the correction to number 8.1 flag policy within the minutes. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then the motion regards the flag policy versus the
Yeah.
unallocated funds transfer policy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Because that passed anyways.
Yes, it absolutely did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All those in favor? And that is passed. Thank you. All right. Introduction of late items, none. Public hearing, none. Delegations, none. Unfinished business and business arising from the minutes, 8.1. Somebody want to read that?
Recommend that council adopts the council portfolio liaison letters and the internal committee overview, including terms of reference for internal committees, or refer to the committee of the whole for further discussion.
Seconded by Councillor Wall. Thank you. Discussion? Yes, Councillor Rabel?
When in regards to referral, so we'd be referring the terms of reference to the committee of the whole meeting, which would happen 2 weeks from now? Is that the idea? Correct. Okay.
Yes, Councillor Wong?
There is one thing I thought I saw in here a while ago, and I don't know what page it is. It's regarding Councillor Rabel's portfolio, school and education. Where am I? Or has that gone to Councillor Johnston now?
If I,
Councilor Johnson's an alternate. Yes, he's an alternate. Oh, okay.
Yes, Councillor Rabel?
if I may, there are letters that are both for the primary and the alternate to all the respective committees, and that's why there's duplication in the places they're being sent, but it's reflecting the primary and alternate roles.
Is your concern regarding page 24? Is that what your concern is?
Yes, it is. I found it. It is page 24. On page 24, it says, Dear School Board Committee. And on page 28, it says, Dear School and Education Committee.
Okay.
If we could, I would like to make the motion that those two have the same wording at the top.
Do you just like to see that correction?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think a motion is needed for the correction, no.
Or-
Yeah, we can just note it, because one of the letters is already in the format that you're looking for. You're just looking for the same format.
Oh, just so it's the same, it says the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope, we're all good. Councillor Rabel?
So, out there, I couldn't get tossed together.
Yes, it's just ensuring that the names of these boards are the current names that are up to date, which I appreciate these letters. I appreciate staff's time in working on these letters. I assume that it would be addressed to School District 59's board, because that would be the board we'd be liaising with, my understanding. And then as well, is Councillor Whittle's PRD alternate letter available in this bouquet?
No, that one is still being formatted.
Ah, okay, fair enough, to meet with some other constraints. Okay, fair enough. No, and then I've, if just for the matter of public record, I've submitted just minor verbiage, or not verbiage changes, but minor naming changes, the CAO. A matter of purely technicality, but it just regards 4 of the names, but just so that they're the current name of the board, right? So I don't know if that needs to be addressed further, but it's a very minor technical detail.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, any other discussion? Yes, Councillor Wong?
Assuming approval of these letters takes place, I would like to suggest that these letters, after the corrections are made, be emailed out to the appropriate committees, and that the contact information of the appropriate chairpersons of those committees be sent to council as at your earliest convenience. I don't know if that requires a motion or
That
not.
would require a motion.
Okay, I will make that motion then, that pending approval of these letters with the amendment, that council direct staff to email these letters to the appropriate boards and committees and forward the contact information of the chairs of those committees to the appropriate representatives on council at your earliest convenience.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Rabel. Any discussion regarding Councillor Wall's motion? Councillor Rabel?
To not constrain to purely email, but whatever form is deemed appropriate to transmit this letter. Be it carrier pigeon, mail, email.
I accept your friendly amendment to allow to change email to carrier pigeon.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, no,
I just don't want to constrain staff if email is not possible.
for sure. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay, that passes. Okay, so back to the original motion regarding adopting the council portfolio liaison letters and the internal committee overview, including the terms of references. Yes, Councillor Rabel?
Just for clarification, page 27 regarding the cemetery board. Because that's the portfolio, I'm assuming. Who forms the cemetery board? I'm curious as to the cemetery board's nature.
So the cemetery board in past has worked with our employees that take care of the
Okay.
cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And if something were to happen or a community member had wanted to reach out
Mm-hmm.
and a staff needs to bring something forward to council or needs any help from you in regard to that, you can be part of that overarching conversation.
Okay.
But other than that, you're really just kind of working with the community and working with staff and working with our CAO. I like post office, yeah.
They don't do meetings or anything like that.
You're
I
just
asked one day,
there to
like, "Board
advocate."
meetings?" No.
Oh,
You
okay.
are there to advocate if needed. Super simple, super light.
We'll see.
Okay? Yes, Councillor Wall?
Just a little bit of humor, does that mean that technically the previous motion I just made would require Mr. Sobolski to send Councillor Rabble his own information?
I think we will cross that bridge when it comes, but yes.
We'll just, is there a cemetery board is the real question.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're it.
You're it. You and
You were it.
our
Okay,
CAO
and
and
then-
our staff member. Yeah.
Liaise with yourself.
Okay. All right.
Post office.
Okay, gentlemen, so other than the slight corrections that have been put forward by Councillor Rabble and the corrections that have been noted, I'm going to take one more question from Councillor Rabble and then we're going to call the question.
In regards to term of reference, it mentions quorum having the public interest member for each of 3. It's quarterly. Hopefully that, because there's 2 public interest members, at least one will show up. I'm hoping for a lot of public engagement. I want to see some very excited folks to assist us in these endeavors in the pursuit of democracy and collaborative approach. But that's just one of the things is, okay, fair enough. We need a public interest member to form part of quorum. That's a good thing to have. But I obviously see it as a potential constraint for sure. I don't think it should be removed. I think it's good that it's there, but I'm just seeing that as a potential issue, right? If both public interest members or we don't get public interest and we're just trying to have
Well,
this.
we're all going to reach out to our friends and family, right? And beg. And then see when that doesn't work.
Fair.
Okay?
But these are pretty standard. They look really good. Let's get it boogieing. And then the term of reference, can those be amended by the committee or does it have to come back to council for amendment if needed in the future? Council. Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried.
We have just formed those committees. Yay.
Woohoo! Okay, moving on to 8.2. The council adopts the water service increase drafted resident notice on behalf of the village of Puskupi for dispersal. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wall, thank you. Councillor Rabble?
This is communication to the folks that live in Puskupi. It is not us approving this increase at this moment. It is simply just beginning the conversation because we are dependent on a neighboring municipality for our water service. We essentially just want to, have public open engagement and open conversation about, oh great, we've been handed this, now what do you want us to do, right? That's my understanding of it. It's not approving the increase, it's simply approving this notice to be submitted to the public.
Yes, so, yeah, adopts the water service increase draft resident notice. Okay, Councillor Wall?
I want to thank Mr. Sobolski and staff for producing this letter and clearly emphasizing the portion regarding this is Dawson Creek increasing the rates. I really appreciate that, and I'm really, really looking forward to one of our first real public engagement sessions regarding potential fees and charges this term on council. I'm really hoping that if you're watching this from home, that you do attend our session on March 5th. March 5th. Please come. All opinions are welcome as long as they're respectful. Anyways, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Spolsky. And if you are a resident of Poos, please come to this meeting.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yes, Councillor Rabble?
Just the thing of details to be determined. Have we determined any details? Is that simply just which location this is going to occur?
Yeah, so
March 5th?
it's basically the details that are not included are the ones that are to be determined. So it'd be time and location.
Okay.
Location looks like it will be perspective.
Okay. And so assuming in council's approval of this letter, it doesn't inhibit staff from filling in the details to be determined to be what is deemed appropriate in regards to location and time.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Moving on to new business 9.1.
I'll recommend then the council motions to approve the Family Day Community Event proposal by Mary.
Can I get a second? Seconded by Councilor Rabble, thank you. This is a wonderful report. Thank you to Mr. Smolsky for kind of drafting it up for me. I really, really appreciate the time that you spent on doing this. We are looking to partner with the Pouskibbe Public Library to hold a Family Day event on the Saturday before Family Day.
I have two minor questions. One, will there be skating?
Yes, it'll be skating, tobogganing, snow art, popcorn, marshmallows, hot chocolate and donuts, and that's fire pits.
We're not
So come on down, bring your skates, let's have an outdoor skating rink. We have the outdoor skating rink, come on down. Next, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
After this motion happens, I'm going to make a motion.
Okay.
Love it, love community events, working with our community organizations, fantastic. A lot of it's based around snow though. What if there's a Chinook? How will we adapt our entertainment to deal with slush weather? Just hang around by the fire pit, I guess, Yeah, we'll just adapt if there isn't snow. Because that is kind of a Chinook week usually.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
It's February, there'll be snow.
It might be
Or it might be
hit or miss.
cold.
It might be hit or miss.
Cold.
And I can discuss a contingency plan with Toronto Worship and have a plan B.
Sure, totally. Yeah.
Okay. So what was your motion, Councillor Waltz? Currently, we're just discussing this event. So.
I make the motion that we approve this event and the $500 budget to be approved as well.
Seconded by Councillor Johnson. Thank you. I'm hoping to see you all there. We could definitely use the help. And I know myself and the library staff would love you guys to come out. And Mr. Zwolski is going to join us. He likes outdoor things. He's from where it's been super cold, so he's down. So yeah, come out, skate, sled, have fun, drink hot chocolate, eat donuts. Yes.
In clarification for the motion, it's a budget of $500 to the library, and then it's some staff time, some like popcorn machines and some other assets.
So it's $500 each. So it's $500 from the village, and then the hope is that that's going to be matched by the Pouskibbe Public Library Board,
Okay.
and that we'll have $1,000 to our disposal at that time. Each board has put forward a list of things that they're willing to supply and purchase, and it probably will cost less than the $500 each, but we are splitting it as evenly as we possibly can.
Okay.
Yes.
If the costs are less than $500 and this event is a success, would the village be interested in keeping that money aside for a Family Day event next year?
I don't know. That's a finance question.
Well, I'd have to follow up with the finance department
Yeah.
just regarding timelines on entry, regarding expenditures for each fiscal year. I can follow up for Mayor and Council most likely by the February 12th committee of the whole meeting.
That sounds like more than $1,000 worth of staff time for a $1,000 question. So
Yeah, a point, it really shouldn't cost much, and the Pouskibbe Public Library is not actually using their funds that they normally get from the village of Pouskibbe, they're actually using grant money for community events, yeah, so that's sort of where the snowball idea came from, is they have some grant money for community events, and I just know that we're always really supportive of doing things, so we sat down and planned it out, and we hopped on the bandwagon, so. Yes, Councillor Rebel.
My assumption is that because the budget is an annual endeavor, that we wouldn't really be able to roll over the fund, but it would probably go to other events. It would still be under an event budget line, right?
Well, the nice thing is that if there is money left over, we never got an opportunity to do our volunteer appreciation barbecue. And I'm really hoping that we can do it this year in June. I know last year, it was sad to not do it, and so I'd really love to get everybody together on Main Street again and feed them burgers and hot dogs and just kind of connect with the people in the community that take time to keep these boards going, and it's because of their volunteership that we have such an amazing community to call home. So whatever isn't used probably would be rolled into that, actually. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna call. No, I'm not. What's up?
assuming this event will be a success,
Yeah.
could you, Mr. Smolsky, take some notes on, because I'm assuming you're going to be at the event, take some notes on it and see what you think could be improved and whatnot, so we can plan for future events every year on Family Day in Moose. Because I think that is something that we are lacking in this community. Is we have a wonderful Canada Day every year, and we have an old-fashioned Christmas, which is weather dependent. And I think having another winter kind of event would be ongoing, where people can plan for it every year, would be really something to look forward to. So
I'll be sure to provide the public office, respectively Councillor Wall, with a debrief and assessment report of the potential of an additional winter flagship event for the municipality.
do you need a motion for that?
I would.
So let's do this motion first and then that one. Okay, I'm gonna call the question then. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, go Councillor Wall.
I'll make the motion that council direct staff to create a flagship event report regarding the Family Day event in Pouce Coupe and report back to council and hear staff opinions and whatnot. Oh, I shouldn't put that and whatnot. For that motion, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Regarding the event on Family Day, to consider future ongoing events on Family Day.
Okay, can I get a second? Seconded by Councillor Johnston, thank you. Any discussion? You can do it, you can let it go. Yeah, okay, all those in favor? There we go, thank you. Okay, moving on to correspondence 10.1. Councillor Johnston, finish reading?
Nope. Alright. Recommend that council accepts the bylaw officer report outlining EOPC bylaw activities from December 19th to January 7th for information.
Can I get a seconder? I will second that. I don't know what's going on, but okay.
Their correspondence.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, perfect. All right, 10.2, the proclamation.
That council accepts the proclamation request from the BC Epilepsy Society proclaiming that March 26th as Purple Day in effort to increase knowledge and awareness of epilepsy in the community.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Rebel, thank you. Moving into discussion, Mr. Samolsky, I think we actually have purple lights that we put on the main village office.
Yeah, we've done it before.
We turned the main office purple for the whole day of the 26th.
We can make that happen.
I think they're in storage out in the shed, but we normally do that, yeah. And then we also do it for Girl Guides Day, we turn the office blue for a week.
Very nice.
Didn't we do that for Pink Day too? We made the office pink?
We've never done it for Pink Shirt Day or nothing, no. No,
we've
we've
done
done blue for Girl Guides and we've done purple.
Maybe I'm just colorblind and the purple was pink. I don't know.
Maybe, okay. Is the proclamation in here?
Yes.
Okay.
Page 52.
Oh, perfect. Councillor Wall, would you like to read it?
Sure, I can do the proclamation. I should stand by the flag, should I not?
They do tend to like it when you stand beside the flag.
There you go. Whereas Purple Day is celebrated on March 26th annually during Epilepsy Awareness Month to increase the knowledge and understanding of epilepsy in the community. And whereas Purple Day was founded in 2008 by Cassidy Megan, a 9-year-old girl from Nova Scotia who wanted people living with epilepsy to know that they were not alone. And whereas on Purple Day, people in the communities around the world are encouraged to wear purple and host events in support of epilepsy awareness. And whereas increasing epilepsy awareness can help the public recognize common seizure types to respond with appropriate first aid. And whereas the onset of epilepsy can occur at any stage of life and does not discriminate against the age, gender, race, ethnicity, religion, socio-pneumatic status, geographic location, or sexual orientation. And whereas Purple Day can improve the quality of life of people living with epilepsy, create a society that embraces the beauty of difference, and help us understand how we can all come together to make the world a better place. Therefore, I, James Wall, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, March 26, 2025, as Purple Day in the village of Pouce Coupe.
Good job, thank you. All right. You'll get a fancier version of time. Okay, and then, what I'd like to do as well with that is I'd like to make a motion that staff turn the village office purple for March 26th, and that we do a post on our social media showing the building lit up in purple and acknowledging our proclamation. Seconding?
Mm-hmm.
Seconded by Councillor Rebel. Thank you. Discussion? Councillor Wall?
It's not so much discussion as it may be a suggestion that we look into the cost of purchasing those LED lights that change, like the LED Christmas lights that change color. If we left them on the building, we could change instead of putting up lights and changing down lights to different colors every time there's an event, if we got lights that are like smart lights that change color, it might save us money in the long run in the staff time of changing the lights.
That is something we could look into for the future. I think it's just all.
And with all these LEDs, you can get color changing lights.
Yeah.
Maybe something to look into.
We'll definitely have a follow-up discussion regarding this on the committee of the whole meeting on February 12th.
Perfect. Sounds good. Okay. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. All right. Councillor Wall?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Sobalski, to add an item to the committee of the whole meeting, do I have to make a motion in the council meeting to do that?
No, it could even just be brought up through direct communication.
Oh, it's the other way around. Through the committee of the whole, I have to motion to bring it to you.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
My apologies.
Absolutely. All right. 10.3.
The council accepts the ICBA letter protecting taxpayers from overspending on local government construction as information.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wall. Thank you. Discussion? Councillor Rabel?
So this letter from January 7, 2025, I'm intrigued by it. It's talking about restrictive bidding, and it's, I'm interested to hear, I assume that, municipal and government projects would be through open public process, which I believe is the legislative mechanism for it, but they're talking about restrictive bidding based off of a variety of different factors. Would we be able to get some context as to where this is coming from and what the impact is to our local construction companies, and how can we improve this? Because usually it's through public provincial tendering websites and whatnot, is my understanding. Is this a situation that we're facing as a municipality? Are we restricting the scope of what bidders we entertain?
My understanding is this regarding bids or is this regarding permitting?
Conflation of both.
Yeah. When I read this, just through conversations that I've had, not only with the ICBA, but also with the forestry sector and our neighboring communities, is part of this is regarding that permitting process, which has been identified as an issue within the forestry sector. And then, of course, our forestry sector up north here has taken a severe nosedive and it's not doing well. But I do know that while there has been a few permitting issues, nowhere near as many for what we're seeing for closures, which has been a little bit concerning. So I was surprised to see this come out. But at the same time, I know that that is something that they have been bringing up. So when I read this as more of a permitting process, and that they're looking to maybe speed that up than a tendering process. Maybe I'm wrong.
In reference to any follow-up regarding restrictive tendering practices, the municipality has recently become a member of Canoe Procurement, which is a group purchasing mechanism available through Civic Info BC, as well as through a few other oversight agencies. So that allows us to have the best practices for prudent and efficient procurement strategies.
For sure, because we want to make sure it's as local as possible. We want to make sure it's as transparent as possible and most cost effective for the taxpayers. I'm intrigued by this, that even a public process, but hosted through a particular website or group can be restrictive, or if the selection criteria prevents independent contractors from being able to bid. I'm intrigued by this, but you design a system, you hope that it's as open as possible, and then you've got to go from there. Anyways, I'm assuming that we've got a purchasing, well, we do have a purchasing policy, and we also have to comply with federal and provincial legislation regarding tendering and bids. So this is an interesting point for sure. But there's existing mechanisms, there's BC Bid, there's Canoe, MERX. There's a variety of other mechanisms for sure. I am assuming that the village is following standard practices in regards to local government procurement and tendering processes. Is there anything that we can do right now that would assist in this matter to open the scope, or is this a matter that we should look deeper into, is my question.
I know that the city of Fort St. John is looking at bringing forward a resolution regarding forestry to UBCM and permitting and the need for a stronger forestry sector up north and the impact that it has on the northern region. What we could do is kind of keep an eye out on that. I know when that is eventually drafted, it will be sent to the PRRD for support, and so during that time, I can bring it forward to this council if you're interested in seeing it then. I know we're right in the midst of working on it, so.
And if there's any concern regarding about restricted bidding practices within our local respective municipality, I can have a follow-up memo or a brief report outlining how our participation in Canoe procurement and those alignabilities will alleviate some of these pressures that are outlined in the restricted bidding memo that's been sent out by ICBA. I can have that probably ready for February 12th. Can be the whole meeting.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Would that cost additional staff time? No, it's
that's part of our onboarding practice, really, of getting participating in Canoe procurement.
Yeah.
So, as being a qualified agent and utilizing that service, that information is already at hand. So, It's not much of an extension of my administrative efforts.
Well, that's the thing. If my interpretation of this is independent contractor organizations saying, hey, we're kind of shut out from these bidding processes. It's always going to the big guys who are in the big cities, and I don't want to see that. Sure, they've got talent and skill and expertise, but we've got to make sure that we're supporting local jobs with local funds, right? Supporting our local economy, and also having as public and transparent a process as possible. But it isn't super restrictive. An independent contractor, that's a very hard thing to do. Or if you're a large company, you have people that can handle all these different bids, because a bid's not a guarantee, but it takes staff time to produce that, right?
I don't necessarily want to correlate the reflection that Canoe procurement will alleviate all these pressures, but that we will have the presentation concerning our participation in Canoe's group purchasing program on February 12th meeting as well, and that should allow for a little bit of discussion regarding their nomination program. So they have a nomination program through their platform that allows for an agency such as a municipality to refer a local vendor or provider. And then they can be part of the group procurement program going forward and have access to those bid opportunities and notices and notifications.
Oh, like a local group, like these people are local and they're certified.
Sounds like a great place to start this conversation. It's interesting that it's been brought to the attention, and this is good stuff. Thank you.
Wonderful. All those in favor of receiving for information? And that is carried. Perfect, thank you.
Is a motion required for the production of that report? Okay, thank you.
Item number 11, resolutions none, finalists none. So moving on to administration reports. Recommendation 13.1.
The council accepts the CAOCO report outlining the Village of Pouce Chief Administrative Officer and Corporate Officer activities from January 8th to January 20th as information.
Can I get a seconder? Perfect. And I'm just going to call all those in favor now before we forget. All those in favor of receiving for information? There you go. Floor is yours, Mr. Swolski.
So, as aforementioned, we have been doing quite a bit of work on a Canoe procurement update. So, a little overview is provided about who Canoe Procurement Group of Canada is. So, cooperative purchasing group enabling municipalities to access discounted pricing for equipment, supplies, and services through economies of scale. So, benefits of it outlined are cost savings, reduced administrative workload, and access to pre-vetted suppliers for reliable procurement that does include a localized vendor listing. Next steps, we will have a presentation at the February 12th Committee of the Whole meeting that I will be directing to council for review and discussion. We have been doing quite a bit of work on our MTI bylaw. That is going to be a follow-up discussion in our closed session, as well as we've had 2 or 3 working group sessions now with the VOPC administration staff regarding our consolidated user fee schedule. So progress is being made on that, and we are looking at a timeline of review for some point in late February, early March. Parks and open spaces bylaws in its preliminary stages. We will have a review at some point in the next month. Council portfolio letters have been included in this agenda package, or you've been given feedback to administration for follow-up. We do have some permitting draft updates, so we have been working on a public space use permit as well as a special event and park permit application. Again, this will be a follow-up discussion in camera just regarding change to service level. We have held a bylaw review workshop. As of this point, it was only January 13th, but we can add January 22nd to that. And we've identified some key review gaps and periods for augmentation on fire services bylaw, traffic control bylaw, parks, open spaces, credit collection services, as well as a few additional bylaws. Next steps are we're going to have eventually a follow-up report for everyone public office to review. We are working on our communications policy draft. So we have drafted some protocols for internal and external communication with definitions and terms of reference. We are developing some public engagement strategies that will be outlined in this as appendices or schedules. And we're outlining some methods to enhance information dissemination. Sorry about that. Final refinements and preparation are underway and developed for council review, hopefully at some point in February. So please be prepared for that agenda. It will be a thorough one. Well, we have done the Site C Trust report, or have done some additional drafting and fact-finding and research development on that practice, including some accompanying discussions with your honorable worship regarding some very similar overlap regarding a similar trust put forward by the regional district. So we will have a discussion about that following up at the February 12th Committee of the Whole meeting as well.
So the Peace River Regional District is looking into a very similar thing. May I ask who brought that forward?
I don't have that information at hand, so I'd have to follow up with that. But I know it was recently included, I believe, in one of the agenda.
It was just included in this most recent PRD agenda package for the regular meeting that's kind of happening tomorrow. And it looks like it was established in 2013.
Oh.
Hey, it doesn't matter which bus you take as long as you get to the right destination.
Correct. So very encouraging.
So I saw it and immediately thought of all the hard work that Matt was doing.
Okay, I don't have to finish that hard work.
Hey, we build on the foundation.
Maybe we can put the two together as an,
There could be a possibility for some overlap, which would be great. Then we are working at the utility rate correction, so we have discussed the draft notice regarding the water service agreement cost for the city of Dawson Creek, and there is an audit letter correction, so I do want to apologize for giving invalid information at the previous Committee of the Whole meeting when we were discussing the audit review. We discussed the billing issue regarding sewer rate increase of 2% not being applied on a annual service fee increase. And I had given the information regarding that deficit being $10,000 to $14,000. That's the cost of us subsiding the cost to the user of the Village of Cusco for the water service agreement cost increases from the city of Dawson Creek. The actual amount in question regarding the sewer rate increase was $235 and change, or $234 and change. So if there's any follow-up discussion, we can have that anytime.
I do have a question about that though.
Yes.
So that 234.48 was that just potentially one address or a couple of addresses that it wasn't applied for then, or is that?
No, that's just the collective amount for the 2% increase, because the 2% increase isn't a large nomination.
Not for here, it's not, no.
So 2% of the overall cost of the sewer?
It's $234.48.
That was not collected kind of thing? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so there's a cost, the village has to eat $234.
Correct.
Yes.
That's it, not this 10 to 14.
So the
situation.
$10,000 to $14,000 is,
Like
remember,
slack,
The $10,000 to $14,000
is
is going
that
to be
cushion.
the cushion between City of Dawson Creek
Increase
affecting
in
a service rate increase for water service as of January 1st.
That's already in place.
That's already in place.
And we have to do all of the discussion and
Yeah.
Public engagement.
Public engagement.
Correct. And then we are doing that effective the billing cycle starting March, or May 1st, sorry. May 1st. So there's about a gap of 2 billing periods that would be a deficit eaten by the municipality.
So a billing error cost $234, but then Johnson implementing this water change very suddenly, well, we have to go through our appropriate democratic process. The village has to eat about $10,000, but that's $10 because we have to go through the appropriate democratic process when a decision outside of our control has been foisted on us. Okay.
Yes.
I would just like to respectfully note that I'm very disappointed in the City of Dawson Creek for springing this on us last minute without proper notice, in my opinion. For us to implement these changes the way that we are required to implement them. Like, they knew that we couldn't increase it the day that they increased it on us, which is really disappointing that they expect us to just pass this on in a way where they know that we can't legally do that, which is, it's very disappointing.
It's definitely been difficult for sure, and our staff are working really, really diligently.
Just one notice of information. A lot of that had fallen on the fact that there was not, let's say, thorough oversight of the administration office during the turnover period of finding a new CAO.
That totally makes sense.
So we can't necessarily...
Regardless, I'm still disappointed in Dawson.
Well, I can understand that, but I would try to refrain from any strict or strong language towards our sister municipality, because again, there could have been provided ample time for notice, but again, with not having someone in that office exclusively, this is where these cracks and gaps start existing, right? So.
And staff have been, yeah, you guys have been doing a great job at getting this figured out and figuring it out quickly, and we've we're following our steps and doing our process. And that's the most important.
Well, I'm not disappointed in us.
No, I know. I get what you're saying. Okay, sounds good. And then...
Lastly, I just have tax scenario charts having completed and sent out to respective members of public office for review. We have just changed the tax scenario chart to include a demographic outlining tax assessed values ranging from 150,000 to 500,000 on, I believe it was residential. Then we had also on commercial ranging from 300,000 to 2 million, as well as on industrial and light industrial ranging from $250,000 to around 2 or 3 million as well. Just to show what per perspective 5, 7, and 10% property tax increase would have as an overall impact to an annual fiscal budget for a household or respective business.
Wonderful, thank you.
And then the grounding in reality is those assessed value ranges are what exists on the ground, whereas we don't need $1,000 and $5,000 because no commercial business is just worth $5,000.
Practical numbers,
Yeah.
Practical solutions.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yes, Councilor.
I do just want to note that I have looked over that. It looks fantastic, and there's no real way to put this in a chart. I mean, if there was, it would be great. But it would be interesting if we could look at it and figure out how much, on average, businesses have increased in our, as an assessed value, for example. So if we increased property taxes 5%, but their property value has increased 10%. Well, in effect, that's like a 12.5% increase overall, right? So we might see that as a 5% increase, but it could be really a 12.5% increase in business owner. Where on the flip side of that, if their business decreased in value 20%, and we do a 5% increase, they're paying less this year than they were last year, right? So we could still be losing money. Is there a way for us to know where the average for residential, did we increase on average or decrease, or for commercial or industrial? Is there a way to do that?
We would have to do a sample size report based off a BC assessment. So we'd have to pick a certain zone, do a small sample size, and then try to correlate that and extrapolate that information. So would it be very reflective and genuine? Not necessarily, but it could give us a ballpark foundation.
Seems like a lot of time.
That it is.
It's
I
a
can
lot
say
of
that
time.
is a lot of time.
And we're knuckles deep in a budget.
Yes.
Yes.
It could be a really fun exercise for a person to take the assessed value of each address, correlate that to the zoning and the appropriate taxation level, and you could do it. It would be a project, but it is possible, and then you could visualize it.
I guess I could call BC Assessment and have a wonderful report for the
They would probably just.
Well, we're working on getting a local government intern through NDIT and their local government internship program. So if we're successful in that, that could be possibly a legacy project for that staff.
On top of the 9 million legacy projects.
You betcha. You betcha.
I was like, you're funny. Yes, Councillor Rebel.
But the interesting concept from that is, in a sense, pain thresholding to see, what actual on the ground real amount business or residential address would have to pay based off of which implemented strategy, and actually what accentuates it, what decreases it. Looking at it as more of an ecosystem with the actual, at the end of the day, what's the bill for the actual person on the actual ground, right?
Yes. Yeah. If I may finish the point I'm trying to make is, we know as a village how much money we need to operate, roughly speaking, or generally speaking. I mean, it goes up and down because we're never exactly, things happen. But we don't know for sure whether or not assessments have necessarily gone up or down. So the way we're calculating our taxes, right now we're saying we're going to do a 5 or 7 or 10% tax increase. Well, if property values have decreased more than 10%, well, that 10% increase puts us less than where we were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Where if they have already increased 10%, we might not need to touch tax rates at all because the 10% is already there. So the point I'm trying to make is, I want to know, before I vote in favor or oppose to a tax increase, I want to know where our assessments are at to justify any change to where we are.
And what you'll learn on March 5th is through the work that staff have been doing, a 5% tax increase would leave us in a deficit, a 7% tax increase would leave us in a deficit, and a 10% tax increase would leave us in a very small surplus.
But how do we know that if we don't know the assessed values, the changes in assessed value from the previous year? We're assuming 2024 tax numbers, where we now have 2025 actuals, right?
Correct, but what I'd also like to bounce back at, respectively, Councillor, is we're in an administrative timeline crunch. If we were in October and having this discussion, we could prepare that information for you. But we're in almost February, and we have to have this financial plan, taxation and service rates and user rate bylaws all passed by May 1st. We're not going to have the runway to pull that off.
Well, BC Assessment doesn't release the data till January 1st. So.
Yes, Councillor Rebel.
Well, just for clarification, BC Assessment releases the numbers of the values in Poo-Scoopy January 1st, 2025. People have until the 31st of January to contest them, and then they're finalized. And then that's what informs our July 1st taxation, are those numbers. So those already exist. I think you have to have access to the portal to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, they're somewhat publicly accessible, so a layperson could take a look at it and do their own calculations as well. But I understand what you're getting at with being informed, because I'm curious and I want to do my own analysis as well.
I'm curious if we could, like if Mr. Sabalski or someone else in the office could call BC Assessment, and if they could just give us a general overview, because we are our own.
I don't think it's that simple. That's my only concern, is that
If they say on average you've increased 2%, or on average you've decreased 2%, or whatever.
Don't they do that though? We're an assessment zone.
We are our own assessment zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's overall. They provide those numbers publicly, but they do it based on commercial and industrial. They know
It's an
what.
aggregated version.
I don't think it's a blanket 2% or anything. He might go up and he might go down.
Yeah.
But we should know we know what the average is overall. But if BC Assessment has that data for what it is for residential, commercial, and industrial. Before we vote on the taxes, I would like to see where, like maybe our residential has gone up, but our commercial and industrial have gone down, right? So we could proportionately do the taxes in such a way where it provides the least amount of disruption to the community and provides the most benefit for service in return.
Well, what I'm hearing from this conversation is that might be something that you can very well check into yourselves. And then this is a conversation I can definitely have with Mr. Sobolski. At this point in time, we don't know those answers, so we can kind of keep snowballing, right? But really, like,
We
let's,
could table this discussion for the committee of the whole to have a more
Yeah.
thorough and formal discussion on the
yeah,
record.
that's what I'm thinking, is exactly that. I think we should hold off for now. Yes, Councillor Rebel.
Well, to the member opposite, it sounds like you're asking about the process for assessment data set acquisition and then transformation into zoning aggregated analysis to anticipate, kind of see the trends of valuation. Have they increased? Have they decreased? What's the impact? And you're talking aggregated to zoning specifically, or to each address? What to level?
To zoning specifically.
Okay.
I don't want to know. I would not want staff to look at every single address in Poos and tell me, well, this one went up and that one went down. I want to know
Just an average.
the average between our residential, the average between our commercial, and the average between our industrial. Because a 5% tax increase might make sense for our residential, where if our commercial has increased 15% in value, well, we're kind of taxing blind if we don't know. Because right now the way we're discussing it is it's a blanket increase across all three tiers. Am I correct on that? Where we might want to look at it more specifically and go, where is going to give us the most value with the least amount of negative impact to the community on it with the tax increase?
Yeah, no, I think that this would honestly be a great conversation for the committee of the whole, and I think we need to move on.
My last comments, if I may.
Real fast,
If you may
please.
so indulge me.
Yeah. Last one.
Taxation is a series of levers. It is an up and down system. It's like growing a plant. You can throw a bunch of potassium. If you threw on exactly 20 mils of nitrogen, 20 mils of potassium, 20 mils of calcium, you might negatively impact the plant. Where if you actually look at the soil quality and then make your assessment of what the gaps are, you can actually see it as a whole ecosystem of the economy versus just arbitrarily saying 5% all across the board or whatnot. I think it does need to be a more strategic approach for sure that looks at it as an ecosystem and something that absorbs, grows, and contracts versus just saying, okay, how do I pull more eggs out of this golden goose, right? So we need to have a definitely more informed approach for sure. I understand the blanket approach because it's administratively more simplistic, but I think that we need to, I understand some of what the member opposite is conveying in regards to being more precise in how we use taxation as a tool to assist the village in what its functions are, but also maintain the business ecosystem here, the residential ecosystem, in a balance that it's affordable and attractive, and that it actually encourages business to come. Because if it's a more encouraging place for businesses and people to increase the value of their assets, then everyone benefits overall. Anyways.
I have a very quick question.
No, we really gotta move on. Yes.
Through you to Mr. Sobolski, do I need a motion to ask you to call BC Assessment to see if they have that data, if they could send it out?
Well, you would, and I would respectively table that for discussion to the committee of the whole meeting.
Okay. Okay, so we go to action items, none. Special and capital projects, none. Council calendars. So we have our public consultation on March 5th. Again, please keep a lookout for the time and place. We're going to have a special meeting in March for our first reading and ratification of our taxation budgets and our user fees. So that's taking place here on March 19th. Final approval and adoption will be on March 26th. And hopefully our final budget hearing will take place on April 2nd, 2025. And the last date is implementation of the new service fees and consolidation user fees, which will be starting on May 1st. And then that's that adjustment. So, looks great. Thank you very, very much for putting that on there, Mr. Spolsky. So we're going to move on to reports. Councillor Johnston, what you been up to?
Oh, I've been playing Mr. Monk for the last 2 weeks and I'm tired. My meetings got canceled, so I have no meetings to report. Hopefully the sickness is going away and everybody's going to get well and we'll get back to business. And I'm just waiting for a call saying when the next meeting is.
Perfect. Councillor Rabble?
No.
Okay. Councillor Wall?
Well, we all attended the committee of the whole meeting
Yeah.
on January 8th, as well as the special council meeting on January 8th. Yeah, we were all there. I was there as well.
Yeah.
Meetings.
Yeah, meetings. I attended the Fire Hall Award ceremony. Congratulations to the fire department members here in Pouce and their service awards. We had a couple of 5 years, a 10-year, and I don't know if it was 20 or 20. 15. It was a 15-year award. That was really fantastic that people are so dedicated and volunteer in our community. I want to thank them and their families for the sacrifices they make. 15 years of service running into burning houses. Yeah, volunteering to do that. Amazing. I did have a conversation with our fire chief at that meeting as well about the importance of the, now I'm saying it, I can't think of it, the training room at the fire hall. So there were some ideas that were brought around about that. And I'll continue the conversation regarding that on the February 12th council meeting, but I really think it does align with our strategic plan. It is something that the fire hall, I think, desperately needs, and that would make a huge difference to the volunteers, having that proper space to train. Because the facility they have right now is good for 3 people, not for 30, if that makes sense.
Just don't forget, with our current budget exactly as it is, without adding anything to it, unless you raise taxes 10%, we're looking at a deficit. So
But
do
we
not,
don't know that because we don't have the assessment.
do not forget that. So that's a really big concern. So I do understand that the fire department, definitely has more and more needs and those different things, but just be very aware of that when having those conversations.
Now that I'm officially the liaison, I have to support the fire department.
Gotcha.
Also, there could be potential grant opportunities there as well, which I would like to have a conversation with our FDEVs at certain times about that. So anyways, I'll be adding that future conversation to the February 12th committee of the whole meeting.
Okay. Anything else?
No?
No? Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you for attending the firefighter award ceremony that took place at the fire hall, as I was not in the community. So thank you so much for going to that in my place. Thank you. Councillor Whittle is away with notice. Hopefully we'll see him at our next one. What have I've been up to? Yeah, I attended our meetings. I attended the PRRD meeting. I did plan on having a report written up for you, but I actually had an incredibly busy week last week, so I never ended up getting it done. So I will be getting to that, and I'll just email it out to everybody, and in that email I'll make a note to include it in the minutes of this meeting. And then I attended the Healthcare Scholarship Committee, which is one of my other seats for the PRD, and was elected the chair for the 2nd year in a row. Then I spent the chair of the Healthcare Scholarship Committee through the Peace River Regional District.
I heard chair of
No, that's letters.
That's double take right there. Yeah.
And then all last week I was in attendance at the Resource Forum. That's my first time ever going. It was definitely interesting. I didn't find the panels all that informative, I'm going to be honest. I got far more out of the conversations that I had at the trade show and during the receptions. I met with members of CN. I ran into Tyler, met with him, spoke a little bit about different things that we've got going on within the community. I connected with Enbridge regarding their Aspen project that's going on and interest in them funding our park. I met with the gals at TC Energy and connected with them on the same thing. I connected with a gentleman from Vermilion Energy who works just right outside of Pouce Coupe here. Between here and Kelly Lake. I connected with him. I met with all the members of CAP and attended a meeting there. I met with Minister Adrian Dix with the Peace River Regional District regarding the proposed windmill projects, the 9 windmill projects in the province, and just a few concerns regarding environmental impact studies and how that's not really currently being looked at.
Out of curiosity, did you ask him why they're voiding the environmental regulations completely for these projects?
We did, yes. And,
Did you get a response of that? Or?
not really, I got a politician's response. I got, what did he all say? Hang on.
Because I think he'd really appreciate it if we just ignored all of our environmental laws on our lagoon project or something, for example.
I don't know, what phone did I write those 9 million notes on? Hang on. I did sit there noting everything. No, not on that one, maybe on this one.
My apologies, Mayor.
No worries, I am gonna write a bit of a report up on the conversation. It's just like I literally sat there and was like typing like a mad lady while I was in the meeting. And I cannot find it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, anyway, we basically met with him regarding the concerns of that, and he continuously highlighted about how the province only owns 49%, and the First Nations own 51%, so that makes things a little bit different.
And First Nations can just not care about the environment now, or what?
So I don't know what quite is going on. It's definitely gonna lead to some much larger conversations, because that's definitely not the voice that we get from our First Nations up here. And so really the fact that the minister was just sort of brushing it all off onto First Nations in our region was really quite frustrating to me, because that's definitely not.
I recall that mailer went out, what didn't come from the First Nations.
Yeah, so that was a bit of the issue. So that is definitely something we're going to be looking into going forward. And at this point in time, there's no guarantee that they will be removing the environmental assessment requirement. It's just that they're thinking about it. So that's where we're currently at. It's not written in cement yet, but they're thinking about it. So it is something that we in the region and the Peace River Regional District, and I can guarantee our First Nation neighbors are definitely working on it and keeping a very close eye on. So I'm going to be working with that over the next couple of months with the Peace River Regional District and Treaty 8. Yeah, I met with a ton of different people and really just kind of talked to them about projects that are happening within the village of Poughkeepsie. Spoke a lot about the resource sector, talked a lot about the election. The tariffs was obviously a huge conversation when I was down there. There was a lot of concern there, and just sort of what the plan would be, and about how the future government going forward needs to make sure that they don't have all their eggs in one basket, because it does leave us vulnerable to people putting on such things as large tariffs, and then that negatively impacting our entire resource sector, right? So
too bad we don't have Energy East.
Yeah, so there was a lot of different conversations. I said, didn't find the panels super informative, but definitely got a lot from the conversations at the different venues that I was sort of stopping in at. So yeah, it was really, really good. And then this week I've just been blowing up Matt's email. Sorry. I have returned home, you can tell. It's just my name in your inbox every 3 minutes. So, but it was really, really good. So, yeah. All right. Question period. Nobody's here. We do miss them. We're going to move on to in camera. So, motion to move to in camera as per section K, 91K of the Community Charter. Regarding negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of the municipal services that are at their preliminary stages, and that in the view of the council could reasonably be expected to blah blah blah.
What we reasonably expected to.
Yeah.
It just ends literally.
It just ends there. I know. So that's why it's there.
To harm the interests of the community.
Yes, thank you, to harm the interests of the community. I knew it was.
I'll second that
You
with the harm the
seconded?
interest of the community.
Thank you. All those in favor? And that is carried.